What's going on, everyone? It's your boy Savvy, and welcome back to the Savvy Show. And before we get started, I hope you guys are all having a phenomenal day wherever you guys are in the world. And I'm excited for this one because it seems like something, a classic, but it doesn't seem like probably a known SCP, like a big popular one, but I'm sure it's going to be interesting to say the least. And this is SCP-3998, the Wicker Witch Lives. So, first assumption of this SCP, I'm assuming it's probably like someone that was doing witchcraft back in the old days, and people were belling and saying, oh, she's a witch, and they burn her on the stake or something, and then she comes back and haunts the people that burned her, or some kind of version of that. Like, I'm assuming it was a witch and she did live before. We see on the thumbnail it's a skeleton, but I'm sure it was a human being before it became an SCP. So I'm interested to see the background and how they portray this SCP, because if you guys didn't already know, I love SCPs that probably already have lore outside of its respective, SCP world, like Abel, Cain, like stuff, similar SCPs like that. So I'm always interested to see how they portray it. And today, Dr. Bob is doing it. So shout out to Dr. Bob. Without him, there'll be nothing to react to. Link to the original video in the description below. But with that being said, if you guys enjoyed the reaction, you guys enjoyed the content, remember to smash that like button so you guys can see more. And also remember to smash the sub button if you're not already part of the family. I make content like this daily for you guys, so you will always get SCP doses of heat. So with that all out the way, there's nothing left to say. Let's get this show started. Alrighty, SCP-3998, the Wicker Witch Lives. Alright, let's see how wicked this witch is now.
Candace Hayes, we have thy confession. A witch as brazen as you shall be burned at the stake. The crowd gathered in a small room bursts in.
I'm not gonna pat myself on the back because it was probably self-explanatory. It's a witch, so she is gonna burn out the stake. Just saying, you boy called it.
To a cheer as the judge hands down the sentence. The accused woman doesn't react, though. She looks neither scared nor afraid, but simply resigned to her fate. No time is to be wasted in carrying out the punishment that the judge has decreed. A pair of constables grab the woman by the arms and take her away.
Damn.
A mob follows along as the woman is led through the town.
Just for practicing witchcraft. It's just crazy, different times people live in. Just so happy I'm living in this time. Yo, because people were dying for less, man, back in the day. This is crazy.
And jeering, calling her a witch, a wife of Satan, and worse names.
Damn.
She doesn't seem affected by them, though. In fact, she looks as if she can't even see them. Her attention is focused solely on one mysterious woman who walks along with the crowd, and yet somehow seems disconnected, as if she isn't truly there either. The two women maintain eye contact as the constables keep pushing the condemned woman along.
I'm assuming that's another witch.
They lead the woman outside of town to a tall hill. The ropes binding the woman's hands are cut, and she has just a moment to rub her sore wrists before she is forced to the ground and lashed to a...
Damn, they gotta be that rough too? Come on, bro. You're off to kill her. Why you gotta push her like that? Man, this is why I don't feel bad for... I'm assuming this SCP is going to become a skeleton when it's burnt on the stake, and it's probably going to kill the people that treat her like shit. Because I'm just saying, they deserve it. I don't feel bad for the victims from these SCPs when they get treated like this. They're asking for it. You're about to kill your pusher on the ground like that? Yo, have some respect.
Of wood, as another group tosses the last logs onto a nearby pile. Once she is securely tied down, the constables step away. But then another man wearing a hood approaches.
Executioner.
He carries a large club, and without hesitation, begins beating her legs. The woman's composure finally breaks, and she cries in pain from the cracking of her bones. The crowd only cheers louder at the screams from the witch.
Bro, this is a whole nother level of... I thought it was bad, just, put on a stake, burning her, watching her burn alive. They're probably going to be cheering. But I'm assuming they're breaking her kneecaps, her legs, and then they're going to burn her? Y'all deserve your fate. I can't wait to see what happens to you guys.
The beating has left the woman's legs mangled, but this is far from over. The woman, still strapped to the wood, is placed on the pyre, where she hangs like a scarecrow above the combustible material. The judge steps forward out of the screaming mob, carrying a torch. He loudly exclaims that for her crimes, she will be burned until dead. But the judge doesn't step forward. He instead announces that another will have the honor of lighting the flame. Another man steps out of the crowd and takes the torch from the judge. He walks towards the pyre and
Look, he looked like a dark Jesus. Evil one.
looks up at the woman. She's exhausted from the beating,
Dang.
but she lifts her head. She doesn't look at the man with the torch, though. She's looking past him,
Who is she?
locking eyes with the mysterious woman who walked along with the
Looks
crowd.
kind of like her.
The man looks angry, slighted that she won't even meet his eyes in this final moment.
For real.
And without another moment's hesitation, he tosses the torch onto the pyre. The wood lights instantly, the tinder combusting and turning into a huge roaring fire. The crowd also erupts into even louder cries of celebration as the woman screams from inside the blaze.
I'm assuming maybe this is part of a ritual for her to become, you know, what she is to be, the Wicker Witch lives. I'm assuming that's why the other chick that seems to be not there might be part of this.
The man watches as the woman is lost behind the fire and the smoke, and eventually her cries, too, are hidden behind the crackles and pops of the flames. He doesn't move until the fire has nearly burned itself out. Most of the crowd has left at this point, having gone back to their homes, content with the role they played in doing the Lord's
Legs
work.
gone, everything.
As the constables pull a charred torso down from the wood and unceremoniously toss it over a steep side of the hill, the man finally turns and starts to walk away, a tear rolling down his cheek.
Did he know the girl?
The judge approaches and places a hand on the man's shoulder. There, the judge says, attempting to comfort the man. You'll find a new wife soon enough.
Really makes you think.
Y'all play with me, right? No, I definitely gotta hear that again. Wife?
He turns and starts to walk away, a tear rolling down his cheek. The judge approaches and places a hand on the man's shoulder. There, the judge says, attempting to comfort the man. You'll find a new wife soon enough. Hundreds of people were accused of witchcraft in colonial America, and while it is likely that many were falsely accused, there is reason to believe that some were under the influence of, or were themselves, what we now describe as anomalies. And SCP-3998 is just such an example, better
Goddamn.
known as the Wicker Witch Lives. SCP-3998 is a human cadaver which dates from the late 17th century that is covered in fourth-degree burns and is missing its legs. There is also evidence of extensive blunt force trauma, but it is not known if the beating or the burning was the ultimate cause of death. At some point, the remains were collected and...
How did that happen? When did she get that wound? It's definitely not, well, I'm assuming it was the flames that killed her. And that wasn't there before she died. Was this after the fact? When she fell out, when they threw her skeleton off the cliff?
And fastened into a scarecrow that is held together with wicker, nails, and wire. While
Wicker? Oh, maybe that's what they mean by Wicker Witch Lives. Because it's held by Wicker. I thought they meant like wicked, like wick, you know?
Fashioned from a cadaver is rather unconventional. What brought SCP-3998 to the SCP Foundation's attention were its other anomalous attributes. It constantly secretes a flammable liquid from its bones that primarily consists of ethanol and human fat, and every night between 11 p.m. and 4 a.m., the corpse ignites. This fire doesn't cause any damage to the corpse, though, and it is unknown how it produces the flammable liquid or ignites.
Why is this dude not looking at it?
3998 does not keep its flames to itself, though. It appears that the SCP targets those who have either killed or physically abused a romantic partner, causing
Loving this SCP already.
them to catch fire as large quantities of boiling ethanol appear in their stomach. Their midsection will eventually melt and then explode.
Bruh! Oh my god! Ethanol inside the stomach exploded from the inside. Oh my goodness. Yo, that's creative. To say the least, man.
Amputation of the lower half of their body. The fire burns both incredibly hot and unnaturally
Just like what
fast,
happened to her.
and is unable to be put out until SCP-3998 is extinguished. A number of historical documents related to the case have been discovered and made available to Foundation researchers that shed light on SCP-3998, including excerpts from a 17th century diary belonging to a woman who lived near where the cadaver was discovered. In the entries, the woman describes attending the wedding of her neighbors, Aiden and Candace Hayes, though Candace did not.
I still can't believe the dude, was the last one to throw the flames at his wife. I mean, it could be one thing that he's doing this to just put out her misery, and he wants to be the one to send her off to God knows where, but just damn. How you gonna have that on your conscience? You're the one that did the final blow to your... And I wouldn't know what to do in that situation. Well, I know exactly what I would do in that situation. Get the fuck up out of there. As simple as that. But hey.
Not seem especially happy with the arrangement. Candace is characterized as someone who likes to keep to herself and who does not conform to the era's idea of a good wife. As a result, it appears that she became the victim of abuse at the hand of her husband. The diarist hypothesizes that Candace has brought this fate upon herself due to her behavior, which may stem from her being under the hold of the devil. In other words, the neighbor believes that Candace is a witch. Others must have had the same suspicion, because we also have records of Candace's interview with a Judge William.
Hold up! I'm sorry, guys.
Hypothesizes that, and who does not conform to the era's idea of a good wife. As a result, it appears that she became the victim of abuse at the hand of her husband. The diarist hypothesizes that Candace has brought this fate upon herself due to her behavior, which may stem from her being under the hold of the devil. In other words, the neighbor believes that Candace is a witch.
Okay, this is fucking ridiculous. This is ridiculous. I assumed she does witchcraft or something from the beginning, from Jump Street. But just because she's not conforming like all the other wives should be, I'm assuming that the wives should listen to exactly what the husbands say and everything. Some dumb shit, but like, just because she's not being like other wives in the village, they think she's under the devil, and that means that she's a witch. Not talking about witchcraft or anything, just, not being a normal wife. And that's probably why she's getting beat up, and that's probably why, because, she's under the devil and she's a... Yo, this is wild. This is completely wild. It's really ludicrous, but I mean, goddamn. Good thing it's not real.
Others must have had the same suspicion, because we also have records of Candace's interview with a Judge William Stoughton, who questioned her about the accusations of consorting with evil spirits. Candace readily admitted to this, though she disagreed that it was in any way evil. She told the judge that the rituals and magics she practiced were not inherently good or bad, and that anyone was capable of using the same tools. She went on to explain that she hated her husband, that she had been forced to marry him, and that he had been nothing but cruel and violent towards her. Candace also mentioned a name, Clovis, that the judge assumed to be the demon that she had made her cursed pact with. Candace appeared to offer no defense or excuses for her actions.
I wonder if Clovis is the girl that was following her to her fate. And when this is good that we're hearing that she does practice witchcraft, that makes it a lot easier for me to just understand the situation of her getting brutally killed the way she did. It's just... Back in the day, it's like this, though. So I'm not going to put it past, like, witchcraft is witchcraft. Back in... When people don't understand something, they probably think it's bad, So... Even if it's doing good stuff, even if it's healing. So I understand that part. It's just like crazy that it's just crazy how it happened. And I'm really intrigued to see who that chick was that was following her.
And the judge sentenced her to die by burning at the stake, with her husband, Aiden, being the one to light the fire. The story of this witch trial was typical of the time, and that likely would have been the end of what we know about SCP-3998. But another historical document was located that has truly given a new perspective to this anomaly. A sealed letter found in the cellar of a home that is addressed to Candace, though it appears to have been written after her death. The letter is from her secret lover, and describes how they collected Candace's burnt bones from the bottom of the hill before binding them together with wicker and wire. The letter then describes how Candace's husband has recently restocked his own home with gin, which is well known to be extremely flammable. The letter ends with an affirmation of the writer's eternal love for Candace and is signed, Clovis. But perhaps the best information
knew
we
it.
have about the origin of SCP-3998 comes from an obscure local tale that was passed down orally for years and eventually documented on an urban legend website. The legend tells of a woman who promised her soul to a she-devil who taught her magic, but also offered companionship. When her husband found out, he contacted the local authorities and had the woman arrested. She was tried, her legs were broken, and she was hung up like a scarecrow before being burned alive. Her body was dumped off the side of a mountain, but the she-devil collected her bones and gave her life again. The need for revenge burned in the woman's heart, so in the middle of the night, she doused herself in her husband's gin, set herself on fire once more, and fell upon him as he slept, burning him alive so he could suffer the way that she did. SCP-3998 is currently held in a secure holding locker in Site-34 that is fireproofed and vacuum sealed to prevent it from igniting. Every morning at 9 a.m., 3998 and its locker are cleaned to remove the secretions of flammable liquid. D-class personnel who have been convicted of domestic...
Look at these D-classes, bruh. This one looks like, what the hell am I doing here? This guy looks like he wish he wasn't a D-class. This dude thinks like he's top tier, like he's an A-class or something. Like, yo, convicted. Oh my
Abuse
god.
crimes are to always be kept at the site to ensure that they are the targets of SCP-3998, which, when it's not allowed to ignite, will result in them only feeling mild discomfort in their head and chest rather than spontaneous combustion. Due to its relatively easy method of containment, SCP-3998 has been classified as safe. However, recent developments have caused the Foundation to rethink this classification. Despite 3998 being securely contained, the number of arson-related homicides in the state of Massachusetts have actually increased following containment, with many showing the same damage to their body as would be expected in a victim of SCP-3998. And while it may be that these are the result of a yet uncaught serial killer who simply happens to employ similar methods of killing their victims, a recent re-examination of the SCP-3998 corpse has revealed more troubling details. The body of SCP-3998 does not belong to Candace Hayes, and in fact appears to be a male who was in his 30s at the time of his death.
The husband? What? That's not Candace? This gotta be the husband then.
Following these new revelations, reclassification of SCP-3998 to Euclid is pending. Whether SCP-3998 is the body of Candace's husband Aiden, forced to endure an eternal punishment of burning again each and every night, or if it's some other unfortunate victim of a violent and painful death, is unknown.
Hopefully it's
as
a
is
husband.
The ultimate fate of Candace and Clovis. But with the deaths that would appear to be attributable to SCP-3998 showing no signs of stopping despite containment, it can only be assumed that the Wicker Witch lives.
No way. Let me hold up.
Signs of stopping despite containment, it can only be Clovis. But with the deaths that would appear to be attributable to SCP-3998 showing no signs of stopping despite containment, it can only be assumed that the Wicker Witch lives.
That's crazy. That's a cool one. That's a cool one. It's not like super strong or like super like mysterious. It's pretty like straightforward. Like what happened to it is like, targeting people that deserve it. I kind of assumed it would be something along the lines of what we just watched. But yeah, it was a good one. It was a good one. Even though it wasn't like over the top or anything, I enjoyed it. I love Sweet Sweet Revenge. And man, I just wish that we got a little bit more about what's with Clovis and, Candace. That would be kind of cool to see like them together. But I mean, who knows? But all in all, it was still a good episode. So if you guys enjoyed this reaction and this episode of SCP-3998, remember to smash that like button. And also remember to smash the sub button as well to join the family. If not already part of it, pretty small. So love to have you hop on the train before we take off. And remember, in the comment section below, let me know what you guys thought about this SCP as well. And if you guys were like under the assumption like she was getting treated really harshly for what they assumed that she was, maybe it's just me, but I feel like that was pretty unjust. But it's back in the day, what could we do? So let me know in the comment section below what you thought about that. And yeah, that concludes today's episode. And like always, I'll catch you guys on the next one.